Okay, so we are back already. That was quick. If you noticed, I'm straight back to back from another recording. But anyway, it's the final recording of another wine tasting that I'd done already a few times before, but various things failed. But this seems to be going okay, which is always good. So, what do we have here? Well, we have the back ends of a very good French wine. And if it looks like I've just come from another tasting and exactly like another video, well then you'll be correct, because I've just shot these back to back. But this one is very, very special. So I did a wine tasting with some of my customers inspired by these, and in short we did Spanish wines because that's what I know the best and I feel more comfortable doing a presentation on. But yeah, I did a very sort of a steep learning curve. I work in mobile, and in mobile there are very steep learning curves, and so we went from up here with Roda, which is one of my most favorite wines, especially Roda Uno. We then had Beronia, which is a little bit further down and is, I'm not mastering this very well, am I, the reverse camera? But we then had the Cune. And we also had in there, I wanted some other wines, so in the concierge case I had a bottle of Viña Solana, which really impressed me, but we're not going to put in there. I had a bottle of the Viña Majestica, and I had a Carelio, and I think I was basically forcing too many wines into one. Now, the reason I say that is it depends how many people you've got, right? I think that wine tasting, and I'll publish the wines below, now, bear in mind, this was very difficult, even across 3 different pretty well stocked Majestics. It was very difficult to get all the wines that I wanted exactly the same. And that's not a problem, and we'll get onto that in a second, why that is interesting. But bear in mind the amount of people, right? So, 6 bottles of wine is quite hard to get through unless you are a lot of people. And when I say a lot of people, I mean half a bottle of wine in a tasting is a fair amount of wine. So realistically, 6 bottles, times 2, you can do 10 to 15 people quite happily and send them away very happy from their wine tasting. But these were smaller teams, and so we focused on the more expensive ones. And because they're at home, it was very interesting. We had the input of their wives, which is always a lovely addition as well, because at the end of the day, what is wine if we do not enjoy it with the loved ones at home, or if not the loved ones, just the ones that are at home? I am a very naughty person and I may get in trouble for that. So let's start at the top, because that's how the wine tasting went. So Roda Uno, this is one of my favorite wines. This is a 2015. Now interestingly, it served, I believe, a 13 to one person and a 16 or 17 to another person. I was lucky enough to get, I think, the 15, and that's what we're going to base this on. Now, let's start. So, I mean, Roda Uno is, Roda Uno to me is such a good wine that 2 things happen. One of them, it makes it very hard for me to be able to justify wines that are much more expensive than the Roda. So coming up soon there will be a Macan and some other, and Vega Sicilia, etc. They're lovely wines, but Roda Uno not only challenges the more expensive Spanish wines, but it also challenges a lot of Bordeaux wines, and with good reason, because it is absolutely excellent. It is just an amazing bottle of wine. This has been in Le Shed. Oh, licorice umami is... So when I opened this, I mean literally, there was... What I loved about this, because I did open it in their own households a lot of the time, and there was a furore in Italian, and And quite understandably so, because it is just an astonishing wine. When people have this the first time, whether they are wine connoisseurs, whether they're literally, wine specialists, they pretty much all go, wow. And it is with very good reason. And yeah, I know Vivino is playing up, but let me go into my profile and see if I can get to my wines. Tell you what, I'm just going to scan this again because the app is not the UX experience that I would have designed. I do design apps as part of my day job. Now, I rated this 5 stars. Well, I rated the 2008 5 stars. I think that was many, many years ago when I was feeling very generous. It has a 4.4 on Vivino of average from nearly 1,000 ratings. Average price it's got here is £77, so it's not a cheap bottle of wine by any stretch of the imagination. I did not pay that much in Majestic, but it was not a cheap wine. But I mean, my God, I mean, the wines like this, obviously you're not going to drink, well, I mean, I'm not going to drink every day. If you were wealthy and you drank them every day, it would be a waste. They are special wines that we bring out in special occasions or for things like tastings when we've been in lockdown for way too long with special customers. But, so what does it have to say? Well, I mean, before we even go into Vivino, there's 1.2k mentions of oak, vanilla and chocolate. I'm not getting the chocolate really. There's definitely oak and vanilla. I mean, this is an amazing wine. Plum, blackberry, black fruit, definitely all day long. Leather, earthy smoke. That complexity on the palate has all the leather, earthy smoke. Licorice, pepper and cinnamon. I'm getting the licorice. I don't really get the pepper thing. I mean, I like pepper. Strangely, I mean, I don't know why. It's not something that's been used. My generation were kind of discouraged from using pepper because apparently it's bad for your health. I don't know. Is it or not? Who cares? Don't get the pepper. But the licorice and spice is just there in the background beautifully. I mean, if any wine defined licorice umami for me, this is one of them. The cheesy people have outdone themselves because it goes cream, cheese, comma, banana. None of these. Okay, there may be a bit, there may be a bit of banana. Now you can tell. What's interesting in these wines, so the big old of these wines in Spain in the good old days, the malolactic fermentation could go wrong, and maybe that's where the cheesy thing's coming from. But is all I got when it was too hot and the malolactic went wrong. To me, is just overpowering flavours of barrel and tannins and stalk. I didn't get, but anyway, I don't know. I am very interested in this. So yeah, I mean, anybody who wants to contribute to that, let me know. Prune, fig, raisin, definitely big wine, big raisin. There's almost this kind of wonderful Pedro Jimenez kind of presence of big ripe fruit in there. Toast, almond, hazelnut. Yes, it's nutty. I don't know the toast or the hazelnut, but there's some almond in there. Some wonderful Spanish almond is in there. Violet lavender perfume. Definitely, there's that complexity that is just lovely. Tomato, rhubarb and grass. Again, there's this untouchable vegetal notes that are in there, but I like the pippy kind of, but it's just like well extracted fruit, I think, is where I would go here. There's literally pure fruit in here. It is apricot jam and melon, definitely mango, yes. There is so much more that I would love to put in here. So going further down, cocoa, yeah. I'd say it's more cocoa than chocolate, if that makes sense to people. Raw ingredient versus chocolatey, mass-produced thing. yeah, it's packed with everything. I agree with that all day long. Very good, very complex. It's beautifully complex. Classical Rioja. Blueberry, oak, cassis. There's definitely cassis in here. Great tannins. It's just, I mean, honestly, if you like wine and you're following this and you're in a lockdown, think. I bought this, I think, for £44 in Majestic. That is the cost of an average bottle of Blah in a gastropub. Honestly, do yourself a favour. Make yourself a nice meal, or if you can't, order one in and get yourself a bottle of Roda and just go, wow. Now, we'll pause that slightly there. I feel rude. No, I don't. That was fantastic. We then moved on. Now, these wines I chose because they are, well, so bear in mind, we are in England, and basically England, as you know, is a country full of football hooligans and posh football hooligans. And the posh football hooligans have drunk Majestic dry. So literally a lot of the wines that I wanted to have in this tasting, well, I mean, some of them are here, but I wouldn't necessarily put these together. And I'll go into that in a second because of their different compositions of grapes. But I thought, in the end, it actually worked out quite well. So one of them only has one grape variety, one of them has two, and one of them has three, which doesn't make a great sort of diagonal tasting. But bear with me on this one, because we then opened the Beronia, and the Beronia delighted almost as much as the Roda. And what is interesting is that this was the bottle that people pinched. Family members ran off with. Now, that tells me a lot. Now this, sorry, I didn't put it to the camera. This is a 2016. I've sometimes had the 2015 still, but there's nothing wrong with the 16. The same with the Cune. I mean, the Cune, the 16, they've gone, can you believe, to a more composite cork than an old cork. But the wine is just as good. I mean, I can't really fault it. Now the Beronia, again, is a very good wine. I saw it the other day reduced in Waitrose from the $15.99 or whatever to £10 a bottle. I mean, at £10, that is almost rude. This is such a good bottle of wine. It really is. At £10 a bottle, I mean, literally buy it and buy it. It is astonishing. Now, Beronia first raised its head above the parapet to me in a crianza of probably only 2001, and we went and had an amazing, you know, these kind of menus that you can get in Spain, which are what I call posh menus. That's when the chef has gone, here's the menu of the day, here's a nice menu of the day, and this is the menu of the day that I would like you to have. And there was a Beronia crianza in there, and it was astonishing. And I've not had a Beronia crianza that good again. However, their Reservas, I've had a lot of them and very good. Now this is a 4 in Vivino of nearly 5,000, over 4,000 ratings, 4,188. They've got it here as 13.73, and that's obviously the average price. Sorry, don't go swinging my wine. So this is the 2015. I have the 16. Let's go and edit that and see if it changes anything. Still a 4 rating, 1,400 ratings, 13, same price. You rated the 1994 vintage 4 points as well. I have fond memories of that wine as well. So let's get into the meat of this. This is such a wonderful Rioja that literally Beronia puts a smile on my face whenever. There have been many times in this lockdown when I haven't been able to get out, haven't been able to get wine. Things have not gone the same way, but you can get this in pretty much any supermarket in the UK. And I've had it delivered to me through Deliveroo and all sorts of things, and it just lifts your day. So oak, vanilla, chocolate, definitely. Blackberry, black fruit, plum, of course you'd expect that. Leather, earthy smoke. Again, the fire pit ash is still definitely, it's there. Cherry, red fruit, raspberry, yep. Pepper, I'm not sure about the pepper again, but the licorice and the cinnamon, I'll give it the cinnamon actually. This is a spicier wine. But let's get on to the... so we should get on to the... This is the wine that has the 3 different wines, and it has Graciano and Mazuelo in. And Graciano, I've reviewed a few Gracianos, and the cinnamon I think is possibly the best thing that describes what it adds to the wine, and it's done to a lot of Riojas to age it well. There's a cheese creamy oil with yeasty notes. There's the raisin, prune and fig, definitely. Toast almond, definitely there. The bell pepper, grass, blah, violet, lavender, perfume. It's not as big as the Roda, but it is definitely there. The citrus. There is, I mean, this has been open for a bit, and the citrus has kind of died down a bit, but it's definitely there. The apple, pear and apricot's there. The pineapple, star fruit. Again, I don't get, I mean, tropical fruits come from tropical places. They are tropical. I don't get tropical things in non-tropical places. That's not a bad thing. It's, it's just like many things. It's like you don't get much, the insects are not the same level, and neither is the weather. So dark red colour, aroma of vanilla is definitely there. Balanced, such a pleasant tempranillo, but it's not just a tempranillo, so who cares what he says. And yes, it is a he. I'm not being sexist there. This is fantastic stuff, amazing at a tenner a bottle from Waitrose. Could not agree more. This is a very recent one, and people are just basically saying, if you can get this at £10, I mean, just literally amazing stuff. Now, what is interesting though, is that while people ran off with this, the firm favourite of the evening was the Cune. And I found that very interesting because I love Cune. I really do love Cune. And I'd say this is possibly my favourite. Cune Reserva is possibly, my go-to wine in England, just because I can get it all day long, and it's a very special wine. But what I didn't expect is that in this company, it's only got a 3.7 versus the 4 of these two. In this company, I did not expect it to be the favourite. And not only was it the wine that people ran off with, it was the wine that my tasters ran to get back. It's possibly the least complex of these wines. But it is absolutely, I mean, it's possibly one of the most underrated wines there is. And let's get into it. I mean, all the flavours are the same. The oak, the chocolate, la-di-da, they're all there. Rhubarb is a different one that people have put in there. And it's definitely there. If you're British and you like rhubarb, outside of England, not many people like rhubarb. Strange that. Even in... yeah, it's an acquired taste. Hibiscus. Now, there is something definitely different. And I'll give them hibiscus, but there is something floral and wonderful about this. And this wine is, if you look up here, it says £9 and 9 pence a bottle. It is under £10. I mean, to be able to drink a wine, we are so spoiled. We don't know what is good for us. Better than the Chianti I just rated the same. Under £10, who can argue? It's amazing. I mean, excellent value, red wine, Rioja Alavesa. Don't know what that adds. Very bold tannic wine with balanced acidity, few black fruit notes. Good value for money. But what amazes me most is that this was the most popular wine. And, it's 4 times cheaper than the Roda. So, I think 3.7 is very stingy for this wine. Although, as many people remind me, I mean, above 4 for a wine is, I mean, it's pretty good, because, wines kind of go like that, but getting into those top areas of wine, the cost starts going up, and the work that goes into them starts going up, and so, to get a 5 in a wine is pretty rare for good reason. But, so 4 is good, but I still think, this is worth more than 3.5. It is just such an amazing wine, and I'm just so happy that I can get this all day long for this amount of money. So with that said, I'm not going to try and put the other 3 wines into this one. We'll do another one with the other 3 wines. And I may sort of expand it a bit. My other concierge box has come, which had this Solana in. I think it's called Solana, but I'll correct below if it's not Solana. It didn't impress me at the beginning, but did as it went along. I wanted to put the Vigna Majestica in, but I do realise that was even another oddball. So we've got 3 different wines with 3 different grapes at the top end here. And then, I was just throwing wines at people, and I think that is a wonderful thing to do in a tasting. Throwing wines at people that will make them stand back and go, oh my god. And I'm very happy that these 3 threw some curveballs, because it's so easy in life to go, Roda Uno is so much better because it's more expensive, and it is more expensive, and it is much better. It is an excellent wine. But it is, I think, something that we should remember we only drink every so often. It is a very special thing, but it's nice to think that the wine that ran away with the evening is the cheapest of these 3. At least I like that. I like to think that, and I hope that is a feeling that resonates with you guys, and the spirit of what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to force this agenda, but when it happens, it is a wonderful thing. So with that, I'll leave you, and I will see you in the next one.